Welcome to the Sisters in Service podcast, the space where stories from active duty veterans, military spouses, and even military brats finally get the spotlight they deserve. I'm your host, Kat Corchado, Air Force veteran, movement specialist, and the heart behind this podcast. I started Sisters in Service because too many stories from our community were going untold. Stories of resilience, transition, identity, and the strength it takes to serve and to thrive beyond the uniform. This podcast is about connection, empowerment, and reminding each of us that our service didn't end when our military chapter closed. It simply evolved. Sisters in Service is proudly sponsored by Fit for Life Alliance, a space where people are committed to feeling better in their bodies every single day, and by My Sexy Business, where you can own a business that doesn't own you. So grab your coffee, your journal, or your walking shoes, because every episode is an invitation to listen, learn, and lean into the powerful stories that remind us service is a sisterhood that never fades. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Why Not Wellness. I am your host, Kat Corchado. You know me. I am your movement specialist. And I had read an article about Pilates and how the boom of Pilates is causing injuries. So I kind of wanted to do a little bit about it today, what kind of questions to ask, etc. So Pilates is kind of looking like it's the thing to do, right? It looks sexy on Instagram and all on socials. But experts are warning it's turning into the wild, wild west of injuries. So in this episode, I'm going to break down what's really going on, who's at risk, and how to protect your body while still enjoying the benefits of Pilates. So we want to talk about why the injuries are increasing, the aggressive marketing, the little pop-up Pilates places that are coming around, what women in midlife and even younger women need to know before they hop on the carriage of a reformer or just walk into a studio. So today you're going to learn the difference between traditional Pilates and today's high-intensity boutique style classes. We're also going to talk about some red flags to watch for in the studios and in the instructors, and questions to ask before you buy a package or a membership or anything like that. You need to have all the information. So let's get into it. So with this rise in injuries, which really just kind of bothers me a little bit, I'll give you a little bit background on me as far as Pilates is concerned. I've been a Pilates instructor for 17 years. I am a traditional versus comprehensive based instructor. And comprehensive means they've got lots of, different things that they do that sometimes I think it's Pilates and sometimes I'm not so sure. A lot of times what I see on socials is not Pilates. A squat is not Pilates. A push-up, although there are some push-ups in Pilates, but it's in conjunction with something else that we're doing. Okay, so the reformer studios are multiplying faster than coffee shops. Have you seen them pop up? And they've got all these intro offers and neon signs and playlists, and it looks just really fabulous. And you don't just take a class anymore, you join a culture. So to my clients, the ones who realize this speaks to their body, I always tell them, don't say you do Pilates. Tell people that you are a student of Pilates, because that speaks to people a little bit differently. And so people don't just want to take a class. I feel people just don't want to take a class. I feel like they want to learn more about their body. Why is their body hurting in a certain place? And a lot of times they don't know anything about their body. So we're going to talk a little bit about what reformer Pilates is, what mat Pilates, why you need both, and the sudden boom. So for those of you old enough to remember when yoga was like ooh, airy fairy, and ooh, what is this yoga thing? And they thought yoga and meditation were the same thing. Remember that? And now it's like, oh yeah, yoga. Okay. And then yoga studios popped up everywhere. Do you remember that? And now the same thing is happening to Pilates. You have people doing it that have never really done Pilates before. They don't know anything about Pilates. Maybe they have reformer certifications, but nothing else. I can tell you that I am Romana's Pilates certified, which means when I am certified, I'm certified on everything. And trust me when I tell you that when I'm certified on everything, it took me a whole year to get certified, but it was well worth it. Okay. So you have celebrities doing Pilates, the promise of low impact but high results, boutique fitness businesses, high price packages. If you feel like you're going to miss out, you're like, oh, I want in, or I'm going to miss out. So let's talk a little bit about standardization. Depending on the studio you go into, you want to be able to feel welcome. Not all certificate programs are the same. Some instructors go deep. I went off the deep end of Pilates. I did, and I'm so glad I did. Others want a weekend crash course and a playlist. I see all the time, oh, well, I don't know how to put a class together, and I keep doing all the same exercises, and it just keeps going and going because they haven't been in the business long enough to understand the why of what they're doing and who it's for and how to apply all of these exercises to different kinds of bodies. I can tell you from being Romana certified is that we are taught to teach to the body in front of us. We all know the 100, right? Do the 100. But in Romana's Pilates, it's going to look different on everyone who comes in class. Some people have their legs high. Some have them low. Some of them have their knees bent. Some have their feet on the mat. Some have their head up. Some don't, but it's for the body. So you have to do what feels good to your body. And that's where your instructor comes in. So in some markets, you're more likely to be asked what music you like, if you've ever had an injury to your back or your head or your shoulders. There's been an increase in injuries because there's rapid transitions. How fast can you go? Okay. Heavy springs. Some people can do heavy springs. Some people can't, depending on their stature. A smaller person in stature, 5'0", 5'2", needs less springs. And then all these complex movement patterns. For someone who is brand new to Pilates, they're going to walk out of there and go, yeah, no, I don't want that. You have high intensity classes with low experience equals a perfect storm for someone to get hurt. So when someone does get hurt, the common areas are knees, lower back, neck, shoulders, wrists. Anywhere you're trying to hold it together while the carriage is moving. Who is vulnerable to these? Well, of course, beginners. Because they're thrown into a class that's too much for them. Rather than saying, let me start with maybe I need 2 or 3 private classes to get into a class. Because that happens to me all the time. Women come in, they go, I want to learn Pilates, but I want to do classes. I'm like, great. Let's get you ready for a class. Not, let's hop you into an intermediate advanced mat class or reformer class, which in Romana's we do not do, by the way. Midlife women who are dealing with joint changes, hormonal shifts, or old injuries. People who are shy about speaking up. When something doesn't feel right, we don't want to say anything because we don't want to make the instructor mad, or we don't want to, take the class in a different direction. I believe that when studios prioritize full classes and fast turnover over real progress and safety, your body becomes the one that's picking up the tab. So let's talk about traditional Pilates for just a minute. Traditional Pilates is rooted in, well, I mean, Joseph Pilates did it. What else can I say? The Pilates that I was taught focuses on alignment, on breath, control of the movement, precision, and quality over quantity. If we're supposed to do 10 and you can only do 5 and rest. Now what I'm seeing are Pilates-inspired reformer, high-intensity interval training, or classes that feel more like a boot camp on a spring-loaded bed. Have you seen these, what we call them mega reformers? They're huge. That's not Pilates. That's something totally different. So when you hear the marketing, it's like, ooh, torch 800 calories in 45 minutes. You're like, yes, I want that. Instead of build strength and control in your body. Which sounds better? Torch 800 calories in 45 minutes, or, learn strength and control. Well, of course, the 800 calories, but you have to look at how it's being applied to your body. Keep in mind, I'm not anti-contemporary Pilates or anti-anything else Pilates. I know what I know through Romana's Pilates. And I want to make sure that you know what you're walking into and make sure that it matches your body, your goals, and your season of life. Because here's the bottom line. Pilates was never meant to be a punishment. It's a practice. You don't go to yoga and go, I'm going to go to my yoga workout. You go, I'm going to my yoga practice. I'm going to practice my yoga. So let's talk about some red flags. When you walk into a studio, and let's say you're just asking for information, and they say, here is a form to fill out. Or even worse, there is no intake form. And you think, okay, red flag number 1. Red flag number 2, the instructor is doing the exercises with you. If they're doing the exercises, how are they training your body? How are they looking at your body? How are they putting their hands on your body to get you in the right form? Maybe the pace is very fast with very few modifications offered. There's no mention of breath. It just says, breathe. Sure. Okay. Alignment. How many times have you felt like you're in alignment and instructor says, you're crooked. And you're like, wait, what? I thought I was straight. Or how to safely or unsafely get off the machine. Do the people that you're looking at feel rushed and confused? Do they look like they're in pain? If the cue you hear is faster and never how does it feel in your body, that's a problem. If you're a beginner and the vibe is keep up or get left behind, your joints are the ones that are going to pay for that class. I can tell you that when someone walks into the studio and they're my client, they're brand new, I want to hear their why. Why did you pick Pilates? I want to know about their injuries. Because even though an injury is, healed, sometimes we hold that injury close to our heart. And I can see from the emotion that it still haunts them a little bit. They're still worried about it a little bit. I put them at ease. The fact that they don't have to know anything. We're going to take it easy. I want you to know how to get Pilates in your body. You don't have to remember anything. And the one thing I tell them even before we've ever started, said, I want you to feel better walking out than when you walked in. So how do you get there? How do you get that instructor? Yeah, I'm good. I'm going to admit it. I'm 17 years and I'm still practicing. I think I'm pretty good. I'm just going to say. So here's some questions. You walk in. The first thing you want to do is not ask the person behind the desk. You want to ask an instructor who has had, 5, 8, 10 years of training. If someone you're talking to has a year, what if you have an injury? What if you're coming off an injury? You want someone who knows their, I won't say it, ish. You know what I'm talking about. Talk to the person who's in charge. Talk to the owner if they're there. And say, here's a question. What kind of training or certification do all your instructors have? Which instructor or instructors has the most experience? How do you handle beginners or people with previous injuries? Is there a fundamentals or intro class before I jump into your regular classes? And let me just stop there for a second. If you have an injury or you are new to Pilates, please, please, please do not, under any circumstances, have them put you into a reformer class. Ever. If they say, oh, you can jump into it. No. Not no, hell no. How large are your class sizes? I've been into studios, and I have to tell you this before I go on. When a new studio pops up, I infiltrate. Meaning I go in there and they go, have you had Pilates before? I go, no, it's my first time. Oh yeah, you find out a lot. Now my secret's out. So don't go into a class where there's 50 people. I taught a class with 50 people. I will never, ever do it again. I ran around like a chicken with my head cut off because I was trying to figure out who needed help. In the studio I'm in right now, we have 7 mats. 7 people can be in a class. 7. And that's not reformer because, again, Modest Pilates does not do reformer classes. We do mat. Oh, we do reformer, but it's just for those people that want to pay for me to watch their body while they move on a reformer. Do your instructors give individual corrections? If something doesn't feel right for me, how easy is it to modify or opt out? Keep in mind, you're not being difficult by asking these questions. You're being responsible to your body, to you. So how do you enjoy Pilates safely? Don't go in going, oh my God, I don't know anything. And go in because your goal is not to survive the class. Your goal is to leave feeling stronger, more connected, like you could come back tomorrow. Start with an intro or fundamentals class if it exists, and if it doesn't, find another studio. If someone gives you an attitude, find another studio. If someone doesn't know how to modify, find another studio. If they want to put you in a reformer class, find another studio. Say thank you very much and leave. Choose a small class or an off-peak time when maybe there's 1 or 2 people. Especially if you're new. Always, always, always tell the instructors about joint injuries, surgeries, back or neck pain, knee pain, shoulder pain. Because you know what that instructor should do? Make a note of it and understand which of these exercises that they're going to do could cause you pain. So you might hear something, okay, grab your arm springs. We're going to do this. If you have shoulder or wrist pain, do it without the arm springs. Give yourself permission to rest, to skip moves, to reduce spring tension, to slow down. And the instructor should say that in the very beginning. We always say, take care of your body. And if you don't know what that is, a good instructor will tell you. One of the most powerful phrases you can say in a class is, this doesn't feel right in my body. What else can I do instead? A good instructor will be like, great question. Here's what you can do. They will not and should not get an attitude. And if they do, what am I going to say? Walk out. Just say, yep, I'm done. Pilates can be incredible. It's an incredible tool for strength, mobility, and posture if it's done in partnership with your body and an instructor instead of being at war with it. So, I hope I gave you some pause, some room to say, maybe I'll try this Pilates thing. And you should. So that's it for today's episode. If this conversation about Pilates got you thinking about your own workout routine, I'd love to hear from you. Have you tried Pilates? Do you love it, hate it? Did you walk away feeling like your body had done something, or was it kind of forgettable? Always understand that the first time doesn't necessarily have to be the last time. And I'll tell you this one little tidbit of information. Before I ever became an instructor, before I ever did Pilates, I was working in Boston, and the club actually gave us 2 free sessions. Well, I wasn't going to do it for personal training because that's what I was already doing. I thought, well, let me go do Pilates. We had a beautiful mind body studio. And I go in and I did the session and I walked out going, what did I just do? What just happened? I thought, okay, let me go with a different instructor. Went in, did my session, walked out, same thing. What just happened? I went to a training with a client, and she did Pilates and personal training. And she said, and I quote, "You didn't see Maureen, did you?" And to this day, I thank Maureen. She's still doing Pilates. And I said, well, no. She goes, you got to go see Maureen. Maureen is the person that is responsible for me being in Pilates today, because she taught the way I needed to be taught. I ask lots of questions. How come this? Why this? Why is this hard for me? Why can't I do this? Why does the simple things seem so hard? And you know what she did? She answered every question. To where I said, oh, okay. So thank you, Maureen. Because if I hadn't gone back to you, I probably wouldn't be a Pilates instructor. Pilates is wonderful if and when you find the right instructor. So for anyone listening, you have to do some homework. How do you do that? Pick the top 2 or 3 studios in your area. And then ask all those questions at each studio. Maybe they have all the same, you might have one studio that it's beautiful and they answer all the questions, but ooh, the vibe feels weird. I'm a vibe person. If it doesn't feel like I belong, I don't know. And then pick out the studio that's for you. And if you have an instructor and that instructor isn't for you, find another instructor. Find your person. Find your instructor. So, until next time, this is Kat Corchado, your movement specialist, saying, I'll see you, hopefully, in a Pilates studio soon. Take care. Bye.